Protests began in the Syrian city of Daraa in March of 2011 after teenagers were arrested and tortured for painting revolutionary slogans on the wall of a school. Officers killed several of the protesters, and even more protesters took to the streets. Eventually, they began to pick up firearms and fight against the security forces. 90,000 people were killed by 2013, and 250,000 by 2015. Many people began to flee Syria due to the conflict. It was reported by BBC.com that 4.5 million have fled as of March 2016, 2.7 million of those into Turkey. Adding such a large amount of people into a nation in a relatively short period of time can create some problems. Here we hope to identify what some of those problems are, and how Turkey should handle the situation.
The Islamic community is very important. It is not based on race, occupation, nationality, nor special interests. It consists of all Muslims and is the religious brotherhood known as the Muslim Ummah. Close family members and relatives are two other important communities within a Muslim's life. Another is neighbors. According to usislam.org, a neighborhood blessed with friendly families is a marvelous community. They exchange visits, help each other, and what is offered one day will be offered back later. The children and adults become trusted friends, and all will establish healthy, happy relationships. A Muslim shall always help another Muslim in need, stranger or familiar, though if one is unable to help, they are not required to do so. As in Turkey, they do not have enough resources to aid the Syrian refugees. They have done all they can and will provide more help when and if they can. usislam.org also says that if one can only help one or the other, Allah prescribes parents first, then relatives, then orphans, and those in need. Then He directs us to do good to our neighbors. However, Turkey cannot support all of their citizens as well as the Syrian refugees. Therefore, Turkey must make sure their own people have a proper quality of life before trying to help the Syrian refugees and, in result, reducing the quality of life for all. There is a moral duty for Turkey to help the refugees, but there is no governmental duty, for the secular state has sovereignty. Turkey is not in a good economic condition and therefore cannot fulfill the moral duty and must now turn away Syrian refugees.
Sovereignty is, according to the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy, supreme authority within a territory, while a state is the political institution in which sovereignty is embodied. Turkey is currently a parliamentary republic. It gained independence in 1923, after the Ottoman Empire was broken up following World War I, and controlled by Britain, France, Russia, and Greece. Sovereignty is currently exercised throughout the whole nation. Written within Turkey's constitution, it states that it is exercised through the authorized organs as prescribed by the principles laid down in the constitution. One of the ways Turkey is exercising its sovereignty is by becoming more restrictive on who they let in at their borders. In an article on NPR.org, it states that the Syrian refugees have been able to escape into Turkey ever since the war began 5 years ago. However, Turkey has now begun to tighten its control on its borders. The mayor of Kilis, a town on the border of Turkey and Syria, has reported that other countries have been suggesting that they need to protect their borders, which is exactly what they're doing. As of now, only people with the correct paperwork and the wounded are allowed in. Even though Turkey has the power to make its own decisions, it can also be influenced by other nations or organizations. An example of this would be the European Union's desire to keep the refugees from entering into Europe, as written by the New York Times. Turkey has made an agreement with the EU that if they agree to take in all Syrian refugees that enter into Greece, then the EU will give them 6 billion euros to help fund their refugee camps. While Turkey would prefer to restrict the amount of refugees they let in, the EU is influencing their decision by offering an incentive. So yes, Turkey does have the ability to reject any new Syrian refugees due to its sovereignty, but the influence and incentives of other groups can affect, and is affecting, their decisions.
It is Turkey's moral duty to help the refugees if they are able to. Zakah is one of the 5 pillars of Islam, which goes towards the poor, needy, and orphans. It encourages Muslims to give more than 2.5% of their income each year towards charities such as the poor refugees, but only if they are able to support their own families. By giving zakah, a Muslim is acknowledging that everything they have is Allah's, and that they do not really own it, and they should use it to remember Allah and help those who are in need. Charity without obligation on your known will, or sadaqah, is encouraged in Islam. For example, The Stranger is a story about a man witnessing a woman that he didn't know struggle to carry her water. When he carried the water to her home, he learned that she is a widow. He returned to her the next day with food, and as he stood by the fire, he said, "Taste the heat of the fire. It is a punishment for those who fail in their duty towards orphans and widows." Each person shall receive equal care because according to Islam 101, we must love others as we love ourselves, to see to the needs of those who are struggling. So yes, Turkey should care for the stranger in need, but only if they are able to do so.
State capacity is a defining characteristic of a state that declares the state population has been reached, according to the University of California Press. The biggest limiting factor in a state capacity would be economy, which is no exception for Turkey. 2 other limiting factors for Turkey would be energy and water. Turkey spends about 8 billion euros on Syrian refugees every year, according to a PBS documentary called Syrian Refugees in Turkey Suffer Harsh Living Conditions. Also, according to the same documentary, Turkey receives 3.2 billion euros from the European Union every year to help support them to pay for the things that are needed for the Syrian refugees. They also do a care program that gives each Syrian refugees 18 euros a month on a card. According to a different website that is more updated, the New York Times, as of April 25th, states that the European Union will give Turkey 6 billion euros to support the Syrian refugees if they agree to take back illegal Syrian refugees in Greece. The 6 billion euros will be used to build houses for the care program and other things that will be needed for the Syrian refugees. This will help Turkey maintain their economy and also help pay for the things needed for the Syrian refugees. Turkey's economy hasn't been the best, but in recent years it is increasing. The next limiting factor in Turkey would be energy. With the rapid growing economy and the rapid growing population in Turkey, there's an increase in energy needed. Turkey has been experiencing rapid demand growth in segments of energy in the past couple decades, according to an official Turkey website called Republic of Turkey Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Turkey can support about 27% of the demand for energy on their own, but the rest has to be imported from other places or other countries. Turkey strives to come up with their own energy supplies. Another limiting factor would be water. Turkey depends on water for agricultural purposes, energy, and drinking supplies. The growing population in Turkey means an increase in food demand. It is cheaper and more efficient to grow food within the country than trying to ship it in from other places. Turkey also uses the water for an energy source. They strive to build dams that will help build hydro plants that will support them in energy. This is also coming from the same website of Republic of Turkey Foreign Affairs. Turkey overall has a high amount of water. but only a small portion of it is usable. Turkey is unable to support all these new people and maintain the support for the Turkish community that was already there.